What's going on, everybody? It's Matt again, and today we're going to take a look at another third-party transformer. We're going to finally combine all of Iron Factory's Breast Force members. This is EX number 65 through 70. Finally, we have all of the components to combine into Liokaiser. But I know that we're still missing Death Cobra, but he's kind of like an accessory to the team. He's an optional arm or a backpack for Liokaiser, so we'll just kind of treat him as such when he eventually comes out. But for now, we have all of the base team members from the Victory cartoon. So really excited to take a look at these guys. So let's get started. So we're going to need to get all of these guys prepared to get them into combine mode. So let's just go one by one with them. So let's get started with Liokaiser. So first thing that we're going to want to do with him, obviously we're going to start in robot mode with him. First thing we're going to want to do is we're going to take this, obviously anything that's on his chest, take that off. That needs to get lost because he won't be able to use it. And we're going to take his fists and collapse them in. And his arms are going to bend at this joint right here until they're about 90 degrees. So we're going to have it like this. That's the orientation you want it in. And just kind of keep them down like this. Like so. And then just make sure that everything is angled the way that I'm showing it here, with the fins and everything out of the way. And then the feet are going to angle on this part here until they come forwards about like this. Just kind of get them up like this, and then we're going to tab the legs together like so. And then back here, you're going to open up this back panel. Helps to kind of bend this forwards. Open up that back panel right here, turn his head around and collapse it into the torso, and then bring this section back up right like this. Kind of keep it in this orientation. Make sure that it's down how it's supposed to be. I don't have it down right. There we go. Like this. And then we're going to take his combine mode head, and then with this peg right here, it's going to go into the same hole that the Breastmaster came out of. So put it in just like this. And then the legs here, you're going to have to kind of lift these skirts up so you have clearance for it. But the legs are going to come up like, you need to rotate the waist around like this. This is how it should be. And then at that hip joint, just bring them up like this. And then this is going to clip over the piece right here. So just kind of angle these up. And we're going to, using the upper knee joint, anyways, we're going to bring it up, and then it will clip in right like that. See how it fit in real snugly right there? So it should look like this. Like this. And then we're going to take his other combiner part here, the big torso piece, and we're going to open up these two chest panels here, and then these two pegs are going to fit in those two holes. And it helps to just make sure that everything is arranged how you want it ahead of time. Like this. Let's see. And then these are just going to, this whole thing's just going to kind of slide over like this. Kind of make sure everything is exactly how it needs to be, or it won't work. Like this. Yep, and then these two pegs will go into these two holes. It can be kind of weird because of the knees here, but they go in just like this, and it should look like that. That likes to pop off. And then just kind of close them at these hinges, and these posts will plug in right here into the center of the chest. Okay, so it was user error. This jet piece needed to be lifted up in a certain way so that these could close over the top of these parts right here, forming the chest. So there is Liokaiser's section done. Alright, so we'll take care of Guy Hawk next. So we're going to start with him in bot mode. So we're going to want to push his fists in, and then we're going to bend his double jointed elbow up all the way like this on either side. Do that on both sides like so. Then we're going to come down here to the feet, or the legs rather, and we're going to pull the landing gear down out of the way and just kind of keep them up because we're going to need clearance for the toes. So bend the toe in like so, and then kind of lock it in place with this landing gear like that and like that. And then the heel part back here, this little booster, is going to, mine's a little stuck, but gonna need to open this so it's out like this, exposing that hole like that. And then we're going to put his legs together. I'm gonna have to kind of get the fins out of the way to do so, but push the legs together. And then back here, using these fins actually, we're going to open up these two panels right here. And then we're going to collapse the legs just like we were going into jet mode. Can take some doing sometimes. There we go. But collapse it back onto this panel here. Like so. There we go. Just like we were going back to jet mode. Like that. And then these fins here, just kind of put them over each other on the back like that. And then, oh, I did forget, got to take the chest panel off. Don't need that. And then here, we're going to kind of bend forwards and pull out this joint here. You have to kind of pull and bend at the same time so that it exposes the combiner's elbow part here. So now that that is exposed, we're going to move on to the head up here. So this part here, just kind of open it. It's on a double joint mechanism here. So open it and kind of bend this down so that then we can turn his head around and move it down into the body like that. And then we're going to move this entire section back up and peg it into place. And then we're going to take this jet section right here and lift it up on this hinge mechanism back here, and we're going to kind of bring it up and we're going to push it back down onto the top of what was his body right here. Should look like this. And then we're going to rotate his wings around into the correct orientation to make the shoulder. And then kind of being mindful of these things, turn the arm, and then this little peg right here is going to peg into that little hole right there, securing all of that together like that. And these just kind of sit over the shoulders here. And then you can rotate the combiner elbow out, and then we're going to take the piece that we got for the actual elbow bit here. Sorry, I had to cut because I did it wrong the first time, but you're going to put it onto the back right here where the mushroom peg is. It has to sit in this orientation, and it will just clip right over the back of that, kind of filling out that elbow joint. And then the combiner part here for the fist will just fit right over this, and these sections will go right in where the landing gear were, and then these little slots here will go in right at the bottom of the feet. So long as everything is lined up correctly, it should, which of course mine isn't, it should just mesh together real nicely like that. And then there is him in his arm mode. Alright, Hellbat is next. He's pretty much the same thing as Skyhawk, so I'll be kind of quick with him. Take his chest piece off, and then we're going to take his hands, fold those in, and then of course we're going to bend them up all the way, the arms up anyways, up all the way, just like we did on Skyhawk. We're going to go over here to the legs, and we're going to push the toes up like this, and then pull the landing gear down to lock those in place. Toes up, landing gear out to lock those in place. Around here at the back, open up these panels, combine the legs together, and collapse all of this together. There we go. Like so. Like that. And bring the little booster sections out. And then back here, we're gonna go up here. Pull the combiner elbow down out of the way. Let's kind of get the arms out of the way. Back here, we're gonna open up this section here, turn his head around, push it down to conceal it in the body, push that up, and then back here, we're actually gonna need to rotate these fins out like this, and then bring this whole section up. Gonna move the arms out of the way, bring this up and collapse it onto the top of the combiner shoulder. And then these sections here at this ball joint down here, rotate the wings around to face the correct direction. And then same thing, square peg, little rectangular hole, peg this together like that. Just kind of get everything pegged in nice and neat. And then rotate the elbow out like that. And then we're going to take the little combiner elbow piece here and slide it over the back of the elbow. And then the combiner part here, same thing with Guy Hawk, 2 pegs, 2 pegs, 2 holes, and 2 holes. So long as everything is lined up just right, it should peg right like that. So there is Hellbat. Alright, so Jaguar is next. So to get him into combine mode, we're going to pull his chest panel off just like the others. And then we're going to actually come back here to his back, open up this panel. Going to turn, no, don't turn his head around. Actually just pack it in like this. And then this whole section, instead of bringing it up, you're going to want to bring it down like this. And it's going to peg into the back of that panel. Then around here on the front, we're going to close his fists up. And then the wheels here are going to come out on this armature like this and like this. And these wheels are going to angle forwards on that bracket. So bring them forwards. And then his toes here, we're going to turn them around. Make sure that there's enough space here, and then push them up. So they should look like this. So turn the toe around and push it up like this. All right. And then we're going to take the combine mode part, and we're going to open this section up, get everything out of the way. And then this peg right here is going to go over where his breastmaster would normally go. So we just kind of peg it in like this. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to take this section here, and this is going to close, and there's going to be 2 pegs right up in there. They're going to peg into the top of the car. And then there's a peg here that'll tap into the waist. And it can be a little tricky to get together. But once you do, there you go. It's nice and solid in there. And then the legs here, they're going to need to do something a little funky. So I shouldn't have tabbed those together. So you're going to need to rotate this in a way where these feet will plug into this section here. And I'm probably going to have to do this off camera because it can be a little wonky. Alright, so this is how it should look when you're done. So the knees need to bend in a certain way to have them like almost 180 degrees. And then the feet are gonna peg together into this little white piece here. And then these parts are gonna need to be pushed forwards to kind of get them onto the what was his legs, and then these will come down and kind of be the side skirt panels here. So that is what Jaguar should look like when he's done. Alright, so Kill Bison is up next, and actually we need to completely turn him into his alt mode actually, so let's do that. Alright, so now with him here in alt mode, what we're actually going to do is remove the cannon parts from his tank, and then this radar section is just going to kind of go down like this to get out of the way. And then this portion here of his tread, you're going to need to, or sorry, on the other side here, this portion of his tread on this hinge is going to need to be pulled out So we're going to need to kind of pull it off of this section here and just rotate it out like this. So that's what he needs to look like. And then we're going to take his big combiner section here, and we're going to kind of move the angle out of the way, because this is going to plug in right here. This will plug into the breastmaster section here. So just kind of, if everything is exactly how it needs to be, it should just plug together just like that. And then gonna make sure that his feet are in the right orientation so that the combiner mode leg can actually stand right with the foot. So there is Kill Bison in his combine mode. Drill Horn is the exact same thing, so we're going to need to convert him into alt mode, like so. And we're going to simply just take him, and this needs to be lifted off. There we go, to create space. So now we can rotate this and then push that back down like that. And then we're going to take this section of his tread and pop it off of the torso, and we're going to just kind of rotate it like this, kind of out of the way. And then we're just going to take his combine mode piece, and it's going to attach the same way into that slot on the tread and into that hole with these two pegs. So long as everything is lined up correctly, it should just peg right on like that. And then there is him in his combine mode part. And now that we have all of these sections complete, we can start doing final assembly. So here we're going to start with the two torso sections. So these two holes here are going to receive these two pegs, and it's just going to press together like so to form the torso. And then we're going to do the legs here. These big square pegs here will go into these clips, and these can be kind of a bear to get in. But once you get them in, they are solid. So there's one, and then there's two. There's both of the legs. I'll pan up here if I can. And then the arms are going to have these two slots that go into that gap, and then that little hole is going to receive that peg, and it helps to kind of get them angled the correct way, right like that. And same thing on the other side. There we go, like that. And finally, there he is, Liokaiser. Very nice. So let me clean him up and we'll take a better look at him. All right, and here he is, Liokaiser. Oh my gosh, he looks fantastic. I'm gonna just get that out of the way. He looks amazing. The color palette is great. The details are incredible. The only thing I'm actually a little not a fan of is his hands are huge. He's got massive, big old mitten hands. If they were a little bit smaller, I think it would be a little bit more proportionate. But other than that, I mean, man, he looks great. But here, I'll do a quick 360, see everything, and he cleans up really nice too. Like, there's it's a little blank back here, but there's a solution to that with the accessories. We'll go over that in a bit. But I mean, heck, even the way that Jaguar's legs fold up here on the butt, I mean, I think it looks pretty good to me, honestly. He cleans up really good, and this is why I was saying that you know, with combiner parts or parts forming can be annoying, yes, but like, look at that. Excellent. Looks fantastic in my opinion. Because we'll start with the head. It is just on a ball joint, but you know, ball joints are great, so they can get you any angle that you'd want. He can actually get quite far forwards on that head. But then we also have some different articulation here in the shoulders. So there's a joint right here at that pin, which allows you to angle the shoulders pretty far forwards for like reaching across. And then there's another joint up here in the shoulder, or actually in the torso, which allows you to raise the arm up. And that's going to be your shoulder joint. Unfortunately, that is a little bit limiting. There is no actual shoulder joint. It's just a joint here in the torso. So you can only get up about that far, which isn't too bad. And of course, you know, minding the different armor pieces here, you can rotate up here into the torso. You can rotate all the way around. Just be careful with the different pieces. He has a double jointed elbow. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but there's a joint up here, which is a little squeaky, but you can only get about that far with that. But then there's another joint that's in here, kind of at the waist of the robe of the individual bot, and you can get about that far. So you're only going to get about 90 degrees on the arm, which is a little unfortunate, but I mean, it is what it is. I don't think he needs that much. Rotate all that back down. You can rotate here below the elbow and above the elbow. So rotate up here 360, rotate down there 360. The actual hand here can rotate 360 degrees. There is a joint here in the wrist, which allows you to move it out. Doesn't allow you to move it in, but does let you allow it to move out. There is a ball joint here at the base of the thumb, and then there's a joint up here past that ball joint, which you can move around plenty. There's another joint here for the thumb, which allows you to angle that in a little bit. And then each of these fingers is on a ball joint, so you can array the fingers however you want to. And there's another single joint on one of the knuckles, which allows you to kind of wrap his fingers around weapons and such. So that's pretty good. Down here at the waist, we have a 360 degree rotation here. There is an ab crunch, which is nice. And then here at the front skirts, there is a ball joint up here, which allows you to move that up about that far. But then there's, well, popped off, but there's a secondary joint right here, which allows you to really get them out of the way like this. The side skirts are just kind of like the wheels that are on Jaguar, so that's just kind of how it is. And unfortunately, you can't really get the back section out of the way for his legs, so that will limit him a little bit. But the waist section here, it rotates right there up at the... See, that keeps popping off. It does rotate up here at the hip, so you will only get about that far normally. But this whole section does tend to want to kind of move. Or actually, it's intended to move. I apologize. I didn't realize that was supposed to move. So there's a joint up here, actually, which allows the whole waist section to drop down so that you can get surprisingly pretty far forwards on that leg. That's pretty good. And then if you do drop down this section here, you can actually get his leg back quite a bit as well. And then you can get them pretty much all the way out at the hip. That's all pretty good. I didn't realize that actually was supposed to drop down like that. It can rotate up here in the thigh, but it's kind of offset, but you can get 360 degree rotation there. Well, not 360 degree, but you can get about that far because of the panel on the outside of the thigh. He does have a pretty cool mechanism here in the thigh. And there is a double joint here. I'll show the lower one first. Well, they kind of just go together. But once you rotate one, this whole panel will actually rotate, or will move down to expose this detail on the inside of the thigh, which is pretty damn cool. It's kind of like master grade Gundam stuff. And then there's another joint down here, which can be a little tight. So you can actually, if you drop all this down, you can get almost a full 180 degrees on the knee, which is pretty good, all things considering. And then down here at the foot, there's a joint up here inside the ankle, which allows for him to get his ankle tilt in and out. And then it rotates down here at the foot, 360 degrees. And then there's another joint actually inside the foot, which allows you to pivot in and out. And then there is another joint here in the toe, which allows you to get it down and up. But this section sometimes likes to pop off if you try to do that too far. But down and up a decent amount. So Yeah, pretty good range of motion for a combiner. The only thing that is definitely limited is going to be the shoulders and elbows, but for the rest of him, wow, he's got actually a lot of posability to him. Okay, so let's talk about some of the stuff we can do with some of his accessories. So we'll make his combine mode gun first. And what we're going to need is these two big sections that came with Jaguar. And we're going to need Kill Bison's cannons. And we're going to need the like the handle that came with Jaguar. So what we're going to do is these sections here, there's a post right here, which allows you to plug both of Kill Bison's cannons into the bottom of to form the barrels. You can do that with either side. And then the handle here, with this section facing towards the back of the gun, you're going to kind of plug both of these together. Sorry, I had it incorrect. You have to face it forwards like this, or else it won't have the right clearance. But now you just kind of peg them together, and then there's his combine mode gun, which can, using these pegs, go right into his hand. And it can be a little funky to get in there just because of the size of the forearms. There you go. But he can hold it just fine, like so. Or alternatively, what I like to do is actually remove the handle part, and then there's these two holes on the back that can receive these two pegs on either of the cannons, and then you can just plug them onto the back of his torso like so. And then there's actually a joint in here which allows you to kind of angle them however you want to. And then I think that that fills out his back real nicely. While not cartoon accurate, I think that it looks quite good with those on his back. So that's another thing that you can do. Or alternatively, what I also like to do is actually flip them around the other way, and then these are on joints that you can kind of bring out, so it kind of conceals everything on his back and fills him out a little bit nicer. That's another option. Okay, so we also have a couple of different configurations that we can do with all of these different things for his combiner weapons. We've got a couple of different options. So we're just going to need one of these guys, and then we're also going to need, let's see, I think we're going to need just these straight sections on these. So go ahead and pop these joint parts off, and then we'll just need the straight sections. So then with 4 of these, we're just going to kind of plug 3 of them together on one side, and then put them into this handle piece. And then another piece will kind of go into the other side like this. And then we're going to take these 2 pieces that we got with Kill Bison, I want to say. Pop these apart. This section will go down here on the bottom of the staff. This section will go up here on the top of the staff. And then we're going to take this big like maul piece that we got with Kill Bison, I'm pretty sure. And then we're going to take the scythe piece from Hellbat, and you're going to plug it into this hole on the back of Kill Bison's hammer. And then we're going to set that aside for now because we're going to need to make the blade, which will be using these 2 weapons from Skyhawk and these 2 weapons from Jaguar. So we're going to angle these parts up, these little handle pieces, and then with these pegs, they will go into these holes on either side of the claw, like so. And then like so, creating this thing. And then just kind of make sure that these handles are in the correct orientation, and then they will plug into these little holes to kind of make like a halberd type thing. And then you can take drill horns, 2 drills, and plug one up at the top and one at the bottom. And then you can take the pieces here from Liokaiser, and you can put them down here into the bottom. And that is like the huge halberd type thing that you can make. And you can put that into his hand no problem using the peg. And I actually realize I have this the wrong way, so I'll swap that around real quick because it is unique. There's a peg on either side. And then you just got to kind of fit his fingers through it and then just kind of turn it onto his hand. And then he can hold it no problem, just like that. His big old combined weapon. It's taller than he is. But keep in mind, you can also just remove sections of this to make it shorter, or you could make it like crazy, crazy long with all of these extra pieces, because we do have like a ton of them. So you could make this thing ridiculously long if you want to. But this is just what it shows in the instructions. But there's also another weapon that we can make alongside this, so we actually don't have to disassemble this. We can make a crazy, crazy long, like, flail weapon using the other one that we have here. So you just kind of attach all of this together, and you can attach them at any point that you want to. I'll just kind of attach a few of them, or screw it, I'll just go ahead and attach all of them. But you can plug any of these things in together because they're all jointed apart and fun stuff, and then you're left with this mangled mess. But you can take these that have this little rotational thing here. I was confused as to what this was going to be when we got them with, I think, Liokaiser, did we get these with? I can't remember. But basically what you can do is take all of these little spear pieces that you got from all of the characters, and you can put them around all of this to make this crazy thing. So then you'll have two of them. It just looks nuts. And they are a little loose on there, so they might fall off. But and obviously you can spin this to make this crazy looking shape. But you take these and then you can plug them into any of these end parts here, like so. So you can make some wicked looking, like, chain weapon, something or the other. And then it says in the instructions that you can also take, come on, focus. You can take Liokaiser's spear pieces, so these parts here. You can take these off and put them in the ends if you wanted to add those to them as well. But this thing's already crazy looking enough. Or, of course, you could take the entire thing here if you just wanted this section. And you can just as easily put them over the tops of the section of the spear and just have like a club thing, like a club weapon. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do with all of these different weapon parts. Alright, size comparison time. So here he is next to one of Iron Factory's Seekers. Here's Sunstorm. And here is Iron Factory's Megatron. Here is a Magic Square Carbot. Here's Jazz. And Magic Square's Optimus. Now let's take a look at some combiners. Magic Square's Menasor. It's a little bit smaller than him. Here's Magic Square's Bruticus. Here's Magic Square's Devastator. Here's Zeta Toys Mini Superion. And how about, here is King Toys Predaking. Alright, so that's gonna finally do it for Iron Factory's Liokaiser. Good lord, this thing is amazing. This is a really good combiner, guys. Unfortunately, I know that Iron Factory is really bad at reproducing their stuff, so if you missed out on this, I'm I'm so sorry. Hopefully they reprint some of their figures. I know that I've heard that Kill Bison and Drill Horn are out of stock pretty much everywhere, but this is a really good combiner. I don't have well, I do have their other combiners. I do have both their Bruticus and their DJD combiner. I just don't have them combined right now, so I didn't really feel like doing so just for the video. But this is by far their best combiner that they've done so far. Very well done. Just a little bit of limited articulation in like the elbows and the shoulders. I mean, that's really my only real nitpick, other than just like the individual figures. Maybe the color schemes aren't 100% accurate to what I think that they would have, like how they looked in the show. But I mean, man, the options that you get with this thing, the posability is great. The actual like structural integrity of the thing is really good. It's a solid combiner. Really, really good. Definitely probably one of the best combiners that I own, for sure. But yeah, this was a really good one. Definitely worth the investment. Obviously, when Death Cobra comes out, he's gonna have this whole crazy thing that he can do, attaching to the back and becoming another arm. Like, I will cover that when I get him. I do have him on pre-order, so whenever he comes in, I will do that as well, so you can see what that looks like. But yeah, this is a fantastic combiner. 100% recommend from me. But obviously, if you like this video, if you like my content, feel free to give me a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, check out some of my previous videos that I put out, and of course, with all of the other individual figures, if you hadn't already watched those, I already have videos on all of them as well. Also, if you would like to, if you want to support me, please check me out on Patreon. That's more for like Armored Core stuff and some of my 3D model stuff, but this is just a good way to support me if you would like to. So you can check me out over there. All of the associated links are in my link tree in the description below. But if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate it so much. And of course, I will see you in the next one. Thanks.